So let's talk about the upcoming horror film, They Will Kill You. But look, this isn't going to be your typical plot summary. No, no. We're going deeper. We're doing an investigation into the very architecture of terror. We're going to explore what it feels like when the floor beneath you was designed to collapse from the very beginning.
You know, it almost always starts with a promise, right? An opportunity that feels like your big break, your ticket to freedom. But what if that freedom is nothing more than a gorgeous, perfectly designed trap?
Okay, so the stage is set. Section 1, A Job to Die For. And that title, well, it's pretty literal.
On the surface, the setup seems almost simple. Zazie Beetz' character, she lands this incredible housekeeping job at a place called The Virgil. We're talking a high-end, luxury high-rise in New York City. The promise is a great new opportunity. But when you start digging, you find the reality is something else entirely. There's a history here. A history of unexplained disappearances that just don't add up. The walls of this place are hiding some really sinister secrets. It's a kind of place where people check in, and some of them, well, they just don't check out.
So that dream job, it doesn't just fade away. It completely shatters. And that's really the key here. As the film's own description puts it, what begins as a job quickly turns into a terrifying fight for survival. There's no slow burn here. It's a straight-up free fall.
And once she's inside, everything changes. The whole atmosphere just shifts. It's that feeling, you know the one, where the walls themselves almost feel like they're breathing, like they're watching you. Her dream job starts to crack, and what's underneath is something absolutely monstrous.
So let's look at the evidence, the red flags from our investigator's notebook. First, the residents. They just behave strangely. There's a coordination to them. Then you start hearing whispers, these rumors of a satanic cult swirling around. And then, the physical evidence starts showing up. Mysterious symbols appearing out of nowhere, doors creaking in the middle of the night. You see, each little detail is another piece of this horrible puzzle, and they're all pointing to the same hidden truth.
And this leads to the central question, doesn't it? The one that changes everything. Is it just paranoia? Or is she actually being hunted? That moment when the creepy feeling of being watched becomes the ice-cold certainty that you are prey, that's the real turning point.
So, what's really going on here? We need to understand the anatomy of this thing, because this isn't just about a few weird neighbors. Oh no. She's walked right into a carefully designed system, a system of control. And that's where the real horror of it all starts to sink in.
Okay, so to really get what's happening at the Virgil, you have to stop thinking of it as just a building. It's not. It's more like a laboratory. It's what you'd call a high-control environment. Basically, it's a closed system. The luxury, the security, it all works to isolate people from the outside world. It creates this perfect little petri dish for a group like this to grow. A place where every polite smile, every friendly hello in the hallway could be part of the machine.
And they have a playbook, a terrifyingly effective process for entrapment. Let's break it down. First, you isolate the target. You get them alone in a new city, a new job. Then, step 2, you exploit their ambition. You use their own dreams against them. Step 3 is maybe the most sinister. You normalize the strange behavior. You make crazy things seem routine until the victim starts to think they're the one who's losing their mind. And by the time you get to step 4, revealing the true purpose, well, it's way, way too late.
So you see, they weren't just residents. They were a hive, a single organism with one horrifying goal, all hiding in plain sight.
And that brings us to the really tragic part of all this, the dark price of ambition. Because the horror here isn't coming from some demon or ancient curse. It's born from something we can all understand, just wanting a better life.
It's such a cruel twist, isn't it? She wanted a better life, and they just wanted her life. Plain and simple. The very ambition that got her there, that made her a fighter, is exactly what they twisted into a fatal flaw. It's what made her the perfect target.
She was never just a candidate for a job. She was a candidate for something else entirely. The next offering. She was chosen to be their next sacrifice.
So, every weird look in the hallway, every door that creaked open on its own, every single time she questioned her own sanity, it was all leading to this moment. The ritual is finally beginning.
And this is where the movie apparently just flips a switch. It goes from this slow-burn psychological dread to what's been described as a blend of blood-soaked horror and high-octane action. So the paranoia turns into a brutal, physical fight to get out. It's not just about her being a victim.
It becomes about her being a fighter, trying to claw her way out of this nightmare.
Now, take a look at the cast of residents at the Virgil. We've got Myhalla, Patterson Joseph, Tom Felton, Heather Graham, Patricia Arquette. These are actors we know, faces we recognize, and that's brilliant because it just dials up the paranoia. Any one of these people could be a friendly neighbor, or they could be part of the whole twisted conspiracy just waiting for the right moment. It really makes you wonder, who can you possibly trust in a place like this?
And that really brings us to the final chilling question, the one the movie wants to leave you with. How well do you really know your neighbors? I mean, The Virgil might just be a story, but that fear it taps into, that feeling of not knowing what goes on behind closed doors, that's very real. It kind of makes you look at your own hallway a little differently, doesn't it?